How's it going, everybody? Brian Porter here from the Brian D. Porter team at Keller Williams Realty in the beautiful Bay Area. And I'm extremely excited to be here with you this holiday season. I hope you're having a great time with friends and family. And I'm here with your December update. And really what I wanted to do today is first of all say thank you. Just thank you so much for following the real estate information I've been putting out for the past few years, especially those of you who've been watching for a long time. I've been getting a lot of great feedback, and it's a lot of fun. So I've been enjoying doing it. If you ever have any suggestions, comments, concerns, never hesitate to reach out. You can get my phone number below. If you're getting it in email form, obviously my phone number is there. You can respond to those emails as well. But today I thought it would be a good idea to recap a little bit of what we saw in 2018. Mainly because in 2017 and 16, a little bit less, but we were seeing things be just very similar. So these reports were a little bit difficult when I'm getting up every month and just saying, hey, low inventory, homes are selling extremely quickly, they're going over the asking price. If you're a buyer and you have contingencies, it's very difficult to get a home. It got a little bit tiring to say the same thing over and over again, but in reality, things just weren't changing that much. 2018 was very different. So I'm going to recap the year a little bit because I've been getting a lot of feedback where people are saying, this is probably just seasonal. It's going to be crazy hot again in the spring. And honestly, I want to make it very clear that we've seen a very, very drastic shift in the market. And it's been consistent. We've been tracking it, and it's not just, over the fall and winter months. It really started in March. So what we saw from quarter one of 2017 into quarter four of 2017 into quarter one of 2018 was about a 10% increase in value. That's really, really drastic for just a few months' time, especially considering at the height of this crazy market, prior to that, we were seeing 20% year over year, which is huge, huge, huge numbers. But when you see 10% over a few months, that's a little bit scary. And that's something that we can't keep, you can't sustain that long term. But it's not that abnormal when you're reaching the peak of the market to see things get a little bit overblown. And so what we saw in March is just activity starting to slow down. I went from seeing 100 people come through an open house in just one weekend to the next weekend with a different home that's very similar, maybe 50 people come through. And then it was 20 people coming through. And so we did see activity slowing down, and prices really didn't move. Then when we got into May and June, then we saw prices start to correct a little bit as well as buyers started to realize that things were cooling down. And so it took a little bit for that to catch up. And so over the next few months, we started to see prices come down until we actually saw about, I would say, depending on the area, 15%, give or take, price reductions. And so that was really, really telling. And so with that, we also saw inventory increasing throughout that period as well, to the point to where this fall we had actually triple the inventory as opposed to the same time last year. Still a little bit low, but triple the inventory. Now, with triple the inventory and all of those buyers that we all had in our queue for the longest time, I would have expected that there would, we might see a little bit of a price, reduction, but we should also probably see more sales too now that we have more things to sell. Didn't happen. We actually are trending, 10-15% lower as far as our number of sales, each month. And so what we really saw, and it was actually very interesting, is for the first time in recorded history, as far as real estate market is concerned, we saw a shift in the market back toward the buyer happen because of low inventory. So that whole supply and demand, low supply, increased demand, that is actually the opposite of what we saw. We saw the supply get so tight and things get so expensive that buyers realized if we just all throw up our hands together and say we're done with this, we're not going to continue to pay these astronomical prices and this much over the asking price and compete with 20 other offers. That's really what happened. Buyers decided, we're fatigued, we're done with that, we're not going to do it anymore. And so things caught up with us and it put us into the shift that we've actually been due for a while. And so we've been tracking this for quite some time. We actually saw prices kind of come back up a little bit from where they had dropped off. And so now we have a very steady stream of buyers and a decently steady stream of sellers as well. Things are a lot more balanced. It's great for you if you're looking to buy a home because they're a little bit less expensive now. Interest rates are still low. You can get a home with, 5 or 10% down, or even less in certain cases. And if you're a seller, it's not as crazy where you're thinking, okay, we got to list this thing for $900,000 and we're going for 1.2 million. What happens if they don't do that? Now it's, we just need to know, what is your home worth? Let's list it for that. And I enjoy that. I think that's a better way to do business. And so you need to make sure that you're working with somebody that understands the area, that understands how to value a home, and understands how to think outside of the box, because we're not putting signs in the yard and having 3 offers come in before we get it on the MLS anymore. And so it's that time where you really need to really market homes. Who are you selling them to? What are you using to market them? Don't just put them on the MLS. You need to be putting them on social media and things like that as well. In fact, the last home that we put on the market, and it was actually well over the comps because it was very, very beautiful, we had to get very creative with it because we were listing it way over the comps. And 33% of our activity to our site, 33% of that user traffic that was getting to that home's website came through social media. And that's incredibly important. So you need to make sure you're working with somebody that understands that stuff as well. If you price a home well, it's still gonna sell very likely within the first couple of weeks. And it's probably gonna sell around 100% of value if you've priced it correctly, as opposed to 110% of value. So it's a more balanced market. If you have any questions, feel free to call anytime. My number is 408-813-6865. I would love to help out in any way that I can. I'm looking forward to bringing you more real estate information in 2019. I'll see you next month. Take care. Bye.